Welcome to English literature class, my dear students of class 11th. It is lecture number 3. Two lectures have already been uploaded. You please open page number 26, the chapter quality, chapter number 3. Start from here. You must know that Mr. Gessler is a very passionate and hard-working man. Boot making has been his passion. He eats, drinks and sleeps it. He can go to any length to make boots for people. He never works for money, but for the love of making boots. Shoemaking is a sacred vocation, sacred profession, and he is totally dedicated to it. Here, start from here, is this paragraph. When one grew old and wild and ran up bills, one somehow never ran them up with Gessler brothers. No one wanted to go to the shop, to the Gessler brothers shop, to take the boots on debt. Everybody wanted to take the boots on cash, giving the cash. It would not have seemed becoming to go there in the stretch out and 1 foot to the blue iron spectacle glance, owing him for more than, say, 2 pairs, just the comfortable reassurance that one was still his client. No one was there. Every man wanted to purchase the boots by giving him cash, not on debt, on debt, because no one wanted that go to the shop and the first boots money was not paid, and still he says there, give me another boot and the first bill will be paid later. Everyone want to take the boots on cash. For it was not possible to go him to every often. It was very difficult to the shop, to the customer to go to the shop every often, because the shoes made by Gessler brothers were very strong, very lasted terribly, durable. The shoes were very durable, so people do not go often to the shop for any complaint. For it was not possible to go to him very often. His boots lasted terribly, having something beyond the temporary. They were not temporary boots. Some, as it were, essence of boot stitched into them. The shoes were very durable and significant, made up with significant leather. One went in means shop. One went in not as into most shop. Generally we go in the shop and ask something from the shopkeeper, but it was not so in the shop of Gessler brothers. One went in not as into most shop, in the mood of, please serve me and let me go. Please give me the boots and let me go. No, but restfully, the customer, it is about the customer, but restfully as one enters a church. It was like a church, like a mosque, but restfully as one enters a church and sitting on the single wooden chair, waited, for there was never anybody there. Sitting on the single wooden chair, waited, for there was never anybody there. The brothers were there on the top of the shop. Soon over the top edge of that sort of well, rather dark and smelling soothingly, comfortingly, of leather, which formed the shop, there would be seen his face, or that of his elder brother peering down. Gessler brothers they did not sit in the shop. They always work and work on the top of the shop. Sometimes his elder brother peering down when any customers used to go there. A guttural sound, a harsh sound, and the tip tap of bast fiber made sleepers beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he would stand before one without coat, a little bent as he was an old man, in leather apron with sleeves turned back, blinking, shutting and opening fast eyes as if awakened from some dream of boots. They always think about the quality, always think about how the shoes may be better. They wanted to satisfy their customers as if awakened from some dream of boots, or like an owl surprised in daylight and annoyed at in this interruption. They always lost in their dreams. How could they give the best quality of the boots to their customers? And I would say, the narrator says here, and I would say, how do you do, Mr. Gessler? Could you make me a pair of Russia leather boots? The narrator asked. Without a word, he would leave me, retiring whence he came or into the other portion of the shop. I would continue to rest in the wooden chair, waiting for them, inhaling the incense smell of his trade, his business, his work. Soon he would come back, holding in his thin, veined hand a piece of gold brown leather. You know that Gessler brothers always used his own making leather, gold brown leather, a piece of golden brown leather. He came to us with eyes fixed on it. He would remark, what a beautiful piece. This is a very beautiful piece. When I too had admired it, when the narrator appreciated, he would speak again. When do you want them? When do you want your boots? And I would answer, oh, as soon as you conveniently can, comfortably can. I am no in hurry. And he would say, tomorrow, fortnight, after 14 days. Or if he were his elder brother, if he were his elder brother, he would say, I will ask my brother. He will say, if he were his elder brother, he would ask, I will ask my brother. It means younger brother. Then I would murmur, thank you, good morning, Mr. Gessler, good morning. He would reply, still looking at the leather in his hand. They had keen interest in leather and shoemaking vocation. And as I moved to the door, I would hear the tip tap of his bast slipper restoring him up the stairs. Again, he used to go to the stairs to his dream of boots. But if it was some new kind of footgear, sturdy footgear, if that he had not yet made me, then indeed he would observe a ceremony, divesting me of my boot and holding it long in his hand, taking away me of my boot and holding it long in his hand, looking at it with eyes at once critical and loving, as if recalling the glow with which he had created it, and rebuking a harsh criticism, the way in which one had disorganized this masterpiece. Then, placing my foot on a piece of paper, he would 2 or 3 times tackle the outer edges with a pencil and pass his nervous finger over my toes, feeling himself into the heart of my requirements. What requirement I had, which type of shoes I wanted to have, he would had keen interest in it. I cannot forget that day on which I had occasion to say to him, the narrator says here, I cannot forget the day on which I had occasion to say to him, when I had got a chance to ask him, Mr. Gessler, that last pair of town walking boots creaked, you know. He said, the last pair that I had purchased from your shop, town walking boots, creaked. It has been torn. He looked at me for a time without replying. He became bewildered, he confused, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement, as if he wanted me to apologize that how dare I said to say such word creaked and torn. He did not believe that there is complaint by Mr. Gessler. He said, it shouldn't have creaked. He was sure that the boots could not be creaked, cannot be torn. It did, I am afraid, he said. The narrator said, no, it is torn, it is creaked. You got them wet before they found themselves. You got them wet before they found themselves. It must be wet in water. The narrator says, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It was not wet in the water. At that he lowered his eyes as if hunting for memory of those boots. He started thinking about the boots that I had purchased, the walking boots, and I felt sorry. I had mentioned this grave thing. I felt sorry why I had mentioned this grave thing. I should apologize to him. Then them back, he said, I will look at them. Gessler brother said, then give me back, send them back, bring it here, the boots. I will look at them. I will look at them how it had been creaked. A feeling of compassion for my creaking boots surged up, filled up with strong feelings in me. So well could I imagine the sorrowful long curiosity of regard which he would bend on them. A feeling of compassion for my creaking boots, filled with strong feelings, surged up in me. So well could I imagine the sorrowful long curiosity of regard which he would bend on them. The Gessler brothers had regard for the shoes. He was puzzled, he was confused, he was bewildered. How it could be possible that the walking boots had been creaked. Zoom boots, some boots, he said. He wanted to clarify that some boots, he said, are bad from birth. The leather, sometimes this is the fault of leather, not mine. if I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill. He said, I will look, I will think about the boots, and if I could do anything to repair them, I will do. If it is not possible, I take them off your bill. I will return your money. I will return the money that you have given me, for the boots. And what happened after that, you will see in my next video. Thank you so much.